Hello there guys, I am Vikrant and you are watching CJPIC. Today I am going to show you how to make the modern bed part 2. So you can make the bed sheet by watching my previous videos which was on making a modern bed sheet. So let's get started. In the last tutorial part we are going to texture the bed, the wood, the mattress, the pillows and the bed sheet. So let's get started by opening our scene which is our bed scene. So let's get started with making the pillows. You can make the bedsheet by seeing my tutorial of making a modern bedsheet. I'll give the link in the description. So now I will go to the side view by pressing number pad 3 and add in the mesh that's going to be the cube. You can see all the buttons which I am pressing just right here. So I'll grab the cube and grab that on Z axis, scale that on Z axis, something like this. As this is going to puff, we should keep the size on the Z axis less. Then to move to the top view, I'll press number pad 7 and then just scale that down on Y axis, something like this. Then I will just scale that up on X axis a bit now and scale that up on Y axis. So something like this looks good for me. Now I can go into edit mode. So press tab to go into edit mode, press number pad 3. Now you can see that there are larger faces here and smaller faces here. So we can't subdivide it to add in if we add in the subdivision surface, there will be smaller faces here and larger faces here. To just show an example, I will just press subdivide, and if you clearly observe here, you can see that smaller faces here and larger faces here. So to solve that, we can, if I just go to side view and just add in some loop cuts, somewhat like 14, and then also add in loop cuts here. So I will just grab that and align that perfectly. Grab on X axis. Now that looks much more better. I'll just press Ctrl R and add in another loop cut here. So you can see that they are almost equal. So now if I press A and just subdivide it, we can see that all the faces are equal. So we can go ahead and add in a subdivision surface modifier. So first I'll just grab that on Z axis here and then grab that on Y axis and keep it somewhat like here. I'll just move to Y axis view and grab that on X axis and keep it side and just scale that down a bit on Y axis and scale that down a bit on X axis to just make it a bit more smaller. Now I will just add in a collision for this. Go into the modified tab and add in a collision. So you can see that there's collision here. So now if I select the pillow and add in the modifier, that's going to be the subdivision surface modifier, and keep it simple and add in another modifier, that's going to be the cloth modifier. Now if I go into physics tab and just enable pressure down below and keep the pressure to be somewhat like 4 or 5, keep it somewhere between 4 to 7 so that it looks good. And if you keep lesser the pressure, the more the wrinkles, and more the pressure, lesser the wrinkles, and less the pressure, the less puffiness of the pillow. Now I will just keep the quality steps to here to be 10, and down below you can see collisions and I'll keep the quality steps to be 5. Now if I just press play, you can see that it takes a lot more time to calculate, but the results will be much more better. I'll just let it calculate and you can see that it looks much more like a pillow now. So I'll just let it settle down. So I will just wait until the Blender calculates it, and this looks more like a pillow to me. You can choose the frame which looks good for you. Then apply the subdivision surface modifier and then apply the cloth. Now if I add in another subdivision surface modifier and just press shade smooth and go into edit mode and just go to face selection mode and just shift select some of the faces, and if you just grab them you can see that somewhat like crinkles form. You can play around with the settings who have Blender 2.82. For for the people who have Blender 2.83, there's a much more simpler way to do it. So I will just apply the subdivision surface modifier and then go into sculpting mode, and down below you can see a brush known as cloth brush. Now if you press N and then just disable symmetry and select change the brush to be inflate and just inflate some of the sides, you can see that the wrinkles are forming and it's also inflating. It's similar to the inflate brush here, but it adds in wrinkles. Now just change it to drag and just add in some random wrinkles. So press F to just scale down the brush size. Now just you can add in some wrinkles. So I will just change the brush to graph now. If you can see that it grabs up and also adds in some wrinkles. You can use it for some ways like making, if you have a cube and subdivide it in simple lot of times and you don't want to use the pressure, so you can just press grab and grab one side and make a wrinkly looking cushion. So now I will just keep it to drag for this. So I can randomly add in wrinkles as you can see. Now if I go back to object mode, you can see that we have a good looking pillow, and play around with the sculpting mode settings for as you like it to be, and I will just shift duplicate this on x-axis. So I will just rotate it on y-axis a bit and just grab that and randomly align it, somewhat looking like it's randomly placed there. So now I am happy with what this looks. I'll just rotate it on z-axis a bit to just make it look much more random. I'll again rotate it on y-axis and just grab that on z-axis now and grab that on y-axis again. Now it looks much more better and randomly placed. You can see that it's flat here, which your pillow doesn't have. So go to the sculpting mode again, just turn off X-ray and here choose the brush to be inflate. Now you can just inflate the brush right here. So I am just inflating it. I will just increase the strength a bit. So play around with the settings as you like it to be, and when there are harsh edges, something like this, what you can do is you can use the smooth brush. If you use the smooth brush, you can see that the edges are getting smoothed. So you can use smooth brush whenever there are harsh edges. So I'll just go back to cloth brush and just work until I am happy. So for just the sake of this tutorial and make it more shorter, I will just keep it as it is now. You can just play around with the settings until you are happy with it. I'll just rotate it a bit on x-axis because I see that it's intersecting there. So now I am happy with what it looks. So for the texturing, let's move to our next tutorial, which will be the modeling the bed part 3. So in that, we'll just texture the wood and the mattress so that it looks much more better.